Hey gang, it's Emersil here. So, Dmitri Donskoi. I admit I have struggled with this ship a bit, but I really feel like I'm starting to get it dialed in. It's not like I have a lot of games in the ship, but I've got some. The Russian cruiser line is a little bit weird because you've got some variance in the type of guns. You've got really pretty big guns in the Tier 5, and then you've got Badioni. Well, you got the 6, 7, and 8. Badioni, Shores, and Chapayev that that I've got set up with IFHE, and they're just long-range HE spammers as far as I'm concerned. At least that's how I plan. Then you get to Donskoi, and you've got the 180 millimeter guns, which offer better penetration and still have the pinpoint Russian cruiser accuracy, which, if you've played them, you know what I'm talking about. But then from there you go to the Moskva, which has bigger guns and much better armor, etc. So all along I've been thinking, well, I'll more than likely sell Dmitri Donskoi when I'm able to pick up the Moskva. And I've got, captains set up for the 6, 7, and 8 that I switch in and out with the Molotov and Lazo. But I really feel like I got to get a handle on Dmitri Donskoi to be able to be effective with Moskva, and I realize they're different ships. But I think the strengths of the Donskoi are probably similar to the strengths of the Moskva, although the gun size is a little bit different. The Moskva has just much better armor. The Donskoi has basically 25 millimeters of armor up front and in the aft sections. So if you get caught even like where I'm pointing at the smoke there, if something were to catch me from there, it could really hurt. And you can see that accuracy I was talking about with the guns. Granted, it's not doing a lot of damage, but you start firing on something big like Iowa, it's not hard to land the shells unless they go dark on you just as you're about to pull the trigger. Okay, so what am I doing here? Well, I made the mistake when I first got the ship of getting what ended up being too close, and I ended up getting taken out of the game pretty early on multiple occasions because I felt like, well, with 25 millimeters of armor, if I'm careful and angle, I can bounce some shells and get up and engage. Use the radar, spot the DDs. But what experience taught me, and it's probably just because I'm really not that good a cruiser player, is that, at least for me, hanging back a bit and just playing a support role so that I still have a significant amount of HP toward the end of the game works a little bit better for me. So that's what I'm doing here. You got Bismarck that kind of pushed up, and I rolled up there with him a little bit, landed a few shells on the enemy kamikaze. But once I reached the point at which I thought, okay, now I'm really risking a lot by going any closer, I just turned back. And fortunately, Bismarck turned back with me. So at this point, with at least probably in my opinion, the best target being the Iowa, who seems to be pushing this way, I'll just happily throw HE shells out and try to get him burning. Knowing that Asashio's up there and that he's going to be positioning to land torpedoes on these guys. Okay, so indicators up saying somebody's targeting me. More than likely, that's Iowa. I'm going to turn in. I was going to turn in, you saw that. Then I guess I changed my mind and decided to turn back out. But I want to do that and get some angle before I get the shells headed my way. Now the indicator disappeared, so whoever it was changed their mind, probably because I changed my angle. And I'm just working on keeping the Iowa burning. That's my sole focus. Now, of course, I'm trying to pay attention to whether or not incoming torpedoes are on the way. We've still got the Kitakaze out there, but with the Sashio that far south, I'm not too worried that torpedoes are going to get up this way without being spotted. So he just gets a fire out, which looked like he repaired, and immediately burning again. Now, similar to the Tier 9 and 10 Japanese cruisers, this ship is, at least has been for me, a really great look at that dispersion. Really great fire starter. So I'm just, from range, doing what I can to try and help finish off the Iowa. And down it goes. Okay, so I'm looking at what do we got left on this side. We got Asashio and Bismarck against probably Kitakaze, Neptune, Amagi, and Vladivostok. Now, Vladivostok is probably taking fire from the Colorado. Just guessing. So I think I'm probably safe to start getting closer, because it looks like Amagi and Vladivostok are probably going to be focusing on Colorado and Buffalo. So I'm going to start getting closer so that I can help if they decide to stay center. This guy in the Bismarck, Calbeck, I was in another game with him in the last day or two. Actually sent him an invitation to join ICOP, which doesn't look like he's too keen on taking me up on, but he's a solid player in my opinion. I don't remember looking at his stats, but he seems to make pretty good decisions in the couple games that I've been in with him. So got close enough to get some shots out on Amagi. He's turning away, so it's questionable whether I'll be able to land anything on him before he's gone. Nope. Our Bismarck is, well, that guy I was just talking about. He's pushing right at where the Kitakaze was. And now I'm feeling a little bit bad I didn't go down there with him, because the Sashio fell back. So he doesn't really have any torpedo screening now. If you're wondering what I did there with making that shot on the Vladivostok with the perspective change, you can use the M key, which is for the map, to kind of lift up your view and get a little bit of an idea of the general direction of the ship. I mean, I've got the indicator there in the center, but when you can actually see it, it makes landing the shells a lot easier. So you can just tap the M key, it'll come up, the view will come up just a hair, and then you can tap it again to get it back down, so you can make your shot. And here I'm just trying to angle. Fortunately, his dispersion was such that he didn't really punish me there. But I'm just keeping track of, the length of time between his shots, more or less, so that I can pencil up and give him a narrow profile when his shells are on the way to me. Now here comes somebody else's shells, but they're coming at Colorado, so I'm just going to keep on coming. But I'm starting to think now, okay, I gotta start straightening out my line here. And, again, I got lucky. And I'll just keep my nose in, not straight at them, but, not directly at them, but enough so that unless they're hitting my superstructure, they're liable to bounce shells. Because, again, 25 millimeters of armor up front, it's just not enough. Vladivostok is pushing up. And I realize that he seems to be turning away from the torps, but since I'm going to go in here and lose any opportunity, I just threw them out there. And now, because it looked like he was slowing down, I'm thinking, alright, I'll just speed up. And if he presents his broadside, maybe I can get an AP volley on him. And then I'll position to try to get shots on the Neptune. But it looks to me like the Neptune's running already. He's got Bismarck chasing him, Buffalo right behind the Bismarck. And, you know, he's probably presuming I'm not far behind. Okay, somebody just whacked the Vladivostok. I should be able to finish him here. Down it goes. A little brush with the island here, slow me down a hair. Let's see if I can get some shells on the Neptune. Okay, so a little over 11 minutes in, 63,000 damage, definitely not stellar. But now, with what's left, you know, I can really be aggressive. And I feel like, although I, you know, certainly wasn't lighting up the scoreboard early, roughly 500,000 potential damage. It's not like I was hiding. I just was keeping my distance. Okay, so I got, somebody's got me spotted. So let's find out who. Get the radar going. Looks like I'm going to get a shot on the Neptune here. Line it up, try and gauge his speed. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I'd say that was pretty good. And I'm going to get another shot. And I'm going to cap it before his shells hit. And that should do it for him. Now the Mahan is probably in a panic. Radar's down, but I've still got quite a bit of HP and a lot of heal left. So just push in. I'll make use of this little island. I can see his smoke stretching out to the left. So I'm going to just stay a little bit to the right just to make sure that I don't get caught by torpedoes from that other angle, far to the left side of the smoke. And actually made a conscious decision rather than to push out there to run into the island, just on the off chance that he saved a volley of torps to get that gap. And you see that I've got, all I had was HE ready, so that's what I put on Indianapolis. I thought about changing immediately to AP, and then I thought no, because he's headed north. And that's going to leave me still with the Mahan down here. And I wanted to have HE ready in case I spotted him. Okay, so no torps. I'm no longer detected. Got a Sashio out there now for torp screening. And I can see red torpedoes out there toward our Bismarck. So presumably I've got a pretty clear lane without torpedoes for the foreseeable, well, at least for the next minute or so. Got 15 seconds till my radar comes up. I'm guessing at this point that the destroyer is probably running north to meet up with his buddy. And you'll see as soon as the radar comes up. Yep. And take 3-4 seconds, get the guns across. Oh, I fired a little behind him. That's alright. 3 seconds, I'll be up and get another volley off. That one hurt. One more like that should about do it. And I'm keeping my line here just in case he threw torpedoes. That's all. I just want to create as much room for myself to avoid getting a torpedo in the face as possible. And now I'm thinking Indianapolis is probably going to turn back. That's what I'm guessing. Yeah, and there are the torps that I was hoping to avoid. So I switched to AP, and then Kitakaze showed up. So, you know, take what you got and make the best use of it you can. Indy did turn back. My guess is he had radar going there, but I don't know that for a fact. See if I can finish off Kita. I managed to avoid all his torps. That's not a bad volley with AP. 2 more seconds. Indy probably thinks I'm going to stay on the destroyer. He comes in broadside, and he's really going to pay for that. Now I'm going to switch to HE, and I know that destroyer is going to come out of the smoke. Yep, there he is. Because he doesn't know if I've got radar ready or not, so he's already running. And that wraps it up. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it. See you next time.